Friend, no theatrics, no funny business. The worst thing in the world happened to me. Okay, maybe that is a little theatrical, but I've been mentioning for how many videos now? Ages at this point, that the Mew top, this is what she's looking like right now. I have kind of just abandoned it. Is that the word that we're gonna go with? I have abandoned it because I needed to take the stitches off the needle and try it on. Over the weekend, I finally worked up the courage to take it off the needles and try it on, and the fit is, I guess, as good as it's going to be. I'm very happy with the length of it. And so I was like, okay, you know what? You know what? Now that we know that it's gonna fit, let's put it back on the needles and let's move on to the next part. Then I ran into a kind of small, kind of big, maybe a small problem, but right now it's feeling like the end of the world. To try on my pieces, I transfer them to a scrap piece of yarn, and then, like once I try them on, I put them on the needles. And so this piece, I transferred them to the scrap yarn, I tried on the piece, I loved the fit, and I put them back on the needles. When I was going, before working up the next section, I was counting my stitches just to make sure, everything is in place. Friend, my stitch count was off by 11. I ended up finding a lot of my dropped stitches, but I'm still 3 short. So I found 8 of them. You can see like all of these stitch markers. This is where I'm trying to catch, the dropped stitches. And there's still 3 though that are hiding that I can't seem to locate for some reason. So I'm kind of am I gonna say freaking out about this? Maybe not necessarily freaking out about this, but I'm very upset about this. This is literally the reason why my Mew top has been on timeout for like the longest time. Oh wait, I found one more stitch. As I'm talking, I found one more stitch. Okay, so technically I have 2 more stitches to find. When I find a dropped stitch, I just take a stitch marker. Okay, I found the dropped stitch and then I lost it again. How does that work? Oh, it's right here. Okay. I refound the dropped stitch right here. Okay, so then, oh my goodness, and I just dropped the stitch marker on the floor. What's going on tonight? My idea is just to go around my 204 stitches one more time and work one more round of 2x2 ribbing. And then, hopefully by counting the knit 2, purl 2, I'll be able to, figure out where the last couple of drop stitches are. The fit of this top is, like I mentioned, good enough. It is slightly a little bit small, but I did make the biggest size, so there's really nothing that we can do about it. The dropped stitches, oh my gosh, last week I was so irritated about it. I was literally so irritated about it. It's been a week since I've decided to try this piece on, and like a week later, I'm finally like, okay, we know that it fits. Let's kind of, try to refigure out this dropped stitch situation. That way we can move on. I think it is so funny how knitting is supposed to be a stress reliever, and yet all of my stress is caused by knitting. I'm really excited about the Mew top, I think, just because I've been working on it for so long, like literally so long. I bought the pattern when it first came out last spring. I don't know, I made a size that was obviously too small, and so I had to start over. And once I have to start a project over like too many times, I kind of start getting, what's the word? Knitting fatigue. And I kind of was just over it. Like, I didn't really want to do it anymore. I think some of my stitches are twisted, maybe. At this point, we're really just gonna try our best. Like, normally I'm the kind of person where I'm like, okay, it needs to be right. It needs to be perfect. We're gonna frog it until it gets perfect. I think my goal with the Mew top is honestly just to make it to the end. Like, so many things have gone wrong. So many things have held me up. I do not care whatsoever about this top being perfect. Like, even on the ribbing, I think I did a pretty decent job, but if you look really closely, there are some parts that I messed up. I don't know how I messed up, but honestly, friend, if I can just knit this entire thing and finish it, that's good enough for me. At this point, that's really just like good enough for me. So I'm gonna make one more row of the 2x2 ribbing and hopefully, fingers crossed, catch my last few drop stitches, just because like, I don't know. I did think about just omitting like trying the piece on altogether, because when I looked at it, I don't know, the ribbing looked long enough to me and I was pretty sure, that it was gonna be good. But my thing is, I feel like I've already been spending like so much time on this project. If I would have made it to the end and I would have thought, like the ribbing was too short, I would have never forgiven myself. I'm like, okay, yeah, trying it on is kind of a hassle. And now that I've dropped the stitches, I'm adding more time on to this project than I would if I just would have, you know, trusted my gut. But I've been doing this project for way too long. I feel like if it takes me an extra hour or so just to try it on and make sure we're good, it's better, you know, to know now whether or not I like the length than to wait till I'm all the way done and I'm like, ugh, I like the piece, but it's too short. And it's like, girl, you should have tried it on. We're at one of the points where I dropped one of these stitches. I'm gonna try to like, goodness, I don't even know. Okay, let's see if I can pick this stitch back up. Is this a purl stitch? Is this a knit stitch? Honestly, with this little tiny yarn, I can barely even tell like what are the knit stitches and what are the purl stitches, if I'm going to be so honest. I did a pretty solid job on the ribbing so far. Right now we're kind of just working on vibes and intuition and hoping for the best, because I don't know. I feel like dropping stitches already is like a hassle, but then with these tiny needles and this tiny yarn, it's like, ugh, I'm not having a good time with this. I'm really not having a good time with this. I was gonna say I'm actually surprised I didn't like give up on this project completely, but I think the reason that I didn't give up on this project completely is because, I don't know, I love the yarn so much. Like, this is probably my favorite yarn. I'm literally trying to pick up a stitch friend and talk at the same time. I don't think that I can do both. But I love this yarn so much. And I was like, wait, I love this yarn. I have to, you know, see this project to the end, no matter how stressful it gets. Also, I just really love the shape of this top. And okay, what is going on here for real? Like, what is going on? What is going on? What is going on? Okay, I think I picked up this stitch. Let's see. What did I just do? Purl, purl. I don't know why these stitches are looking so weird right now. Purl, purl. I feel like I had a stitch marker to mark halfway through the top. I have no idea which one that's supposed to be. Purl, purl. A couple of people had said that they use like interchangeable needles and that, you know, with an interchangeable needle set, you're able to, I don't know, something about like using a cable or just like detaching the needles. What am I trying to say? Something just like along the lines of being able to, you know, like use a longer cable to try it on, it being more convenient than transferring it to like a scrap piece of yarn, which honestly, having an interchangeable needle set sounds like a dream. I would love to have an interchangeable needle set, but I feel like all the ones that I've seen have been, you know, a nice little amount of money. So it's currently out of my budget at the moment, but you know what, one day we're manifesting an interchangeable needle set, because I feel like trying on my pieces are like necessary. I don't really see a way around it, but transferring them to the scrap yarn is such a hassle. Sometimes I'm like, okay, well, what if I don't just try it on this time? You know, like, ugh, do I have to try it on? Do I have to try it on? And it's like, yeah, you kind of do. I also think what maybe my issue was this time was this was the yarn that I used to transfer to the, like, this was the scrap yarn that I used to transfer the stitches so that I could try it on. Maybe on camera it looks like a pretty decent contrast, but I feel like two light colors, it was kind of hard for me to see the stitches. It makes more sense, or it would have made more sense for me to use like more of a contrasting color yarn, like a hot pink or like a black, just something where I could have seen the stitches better. I was thinking about that and I was like, ugh, girl, of course you dropped 11 stitches. You can't even see where to pick them up. Never learned my lesson. I never learn. I never learn. I never learn. I'm really just looking super closely and trying to see, are there any stitches that I dropped and that I missed, because I don't know any other way. I do not know any other way, and it's like 11 stitches is kind of a lot of stitches to drop. I'm going to be so honest. It's never that serious. Low-key, this last round of ribbing is looking a little bit crazy. I will say, after trying on the Mew top, I am excited again to finish this project. I really do love how it's coming out, and like I mentioned, this is probably, you know, one of my favorite yarns that I've ever used. I'm actually using the Barocco Lana's light yarn in the shade Steel Cut Oat. I'm pretty sure that's the shade name. Will I make another project that uses sport weight yarn? I can't say no definitely, but I will say I am not in a rush to make any project with sport weight yarn. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it, especially as somebody who's like, I feel like I'm very much, I pride myself on being a weight 4 yarn, 6mm needle yarn girl. Having to use sport weight yarn and like 2.5mm needles, I'm just like, I hate this so bad. I really hate this so bad. I'm actually surprised that I've even made it this far. Really. I feel like if I were to start this project today, friend, I would have jumped ship ages ago. Okay, I'm trying to pick up the stitch and like for some reason I like can't even pick up the stitch. Like what's going on? I did my best. That's just what it's gonna have to be tonight. What are we on? Pearl, pearl, knit, knit. Okay, so I think this is a pearl. Okay, not too bad so far, I think, considering I'm going to work my way around the entire top, and then I guess I'm gonna have to count to 204 just to make sure, you know, that I don't have any lingering dropped stitches. But friend, 204, counting to 204 is a little bit crazy. I will say the first time around I have no idea what was happening with my brain, but I was just trying to like raw dog 204 on the count, and I was like, maybe we can put some stitch markers and, you know, like maybe do increments of 50. Okay, right here I think actually I'm in a space where I just made a purl stitch, but I think this is technically supposed to be a knit stitch. So wouldn't there be like maybe a dropped stitch somewhere, because something's going on right here. Maybe there's a dropped stitch somewhere. I hate this so bad. I'm gonna be so honest. I hate this so bad. I'm so tempted to just like, I don't even know. I really don't even know. Okay, wait, I found the drop stitch. It's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches behind us. So wait, I think I found it. I think I found it. I think I found it. This might be the last drop stitch too. So I'm actually really happy about this right now. Okay, let's see, let's see, let's see. These stitches are so tiny and pesky. It is very easy to miss them. Does that make sense? I was trying to pull the fabric like apart just a little bit to see, you know, like maybe the drop stitch would, I don't know how to describe it. You know how when your stitches drop, they kind of like, when all the rows start to unravel. My idea was to just pull the fabric, you know, just a little bit and see if there's any rows that unravel, but maybe because this is wool and really small weight yarn, I don't know, like the fibers are kind of sticky, for lack of a better word, and when I was pulling them apart, nothing was unraveling. Like literally nothing was unraveling. Okay, wait, friend, I think I did it. Friend, I think I did it. Okay, I think we're back on track, friend. I think we're back on track. I'm going to knit all the way up into my stitch marker. I have about 4. These are the stitch markers that I'm using to like hold the drop stitches in place. So I have 4 more. I have 4 more of these. So I'm going to knit up into the beginning of the row, and then we're going to count, and fingers crossed we make it to 204. If we do make it to that count, honestly, I'm not even going to care that the last row of ribbing is super wonky. I just want to, you know, make sure that I don't have any drop stitches so that I can move on to the top. But this is what it's looking like so far. My most stressful project ever. I'm definitely going to have to find a new method of putting, you know, like my scrap, not my scrap, what am I trying to say? I definitely need to find like a new method of transferring my stitches and being able to try it on, because the yarn method works most of the time, but when I'm using like tiny yarn like this, I'm not doing that again. I'm really not doing that again. That was so much stress. I feel like it's set me back just a little bit, and it's like I've already been working on this project, you know, for, has it been a year? Maybe not quite a year, but like a really long time. I do not need anything, you know, that's gonna make me want to give up. And I feel like if I start having like too many issues, too many struggles, I'm like, ugh, is this even worth it at this point? So I'm definitely gonna look into, what did I say, like an interchangeable needle set, or just like different ways of transferring your stitches so that you can try them on, because dropping 11 stitches is kind of crazy, friend. Like when it had happened last week, the only thing I could do was put the project down. I was like, you know what? Absolutely not. We're not dealing with this today, but I'm feeling a little bit better now, you know, like a week later. We're just gonna knit to the beginning of the row. We're gonna try to catch all of our dropped stitches, and then we're gonna be able to move on to the exciting part, the increases and like the top section of the shirt. So let me finish knitting, friend, and then we'll be right back. So I found a few more drop stitches and now I'm like, let's see, how many am I away? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm 12 away from the beginning of the row. Friend, fingers crossed that everything lines up perfectly. If it does, that is a very good sign. I am gonna go and count all 204 stitches before I move on to the next part, but I feel like if my knit to, purl to, you know, pattern ends up lining up at the very end, that's a good sign that most likely, you know, we have the right amount of stitches. Okay, purl 1. Ah, friend. Okay, I might have picked up all of the stitches. I was trying to be like very cautious and make sure I looked closely for all of the drop stitches. So should I count to 100 and then split them up by 100 and then 4, or should I do it by 50? Low-key, I feel like my brain likes to wander, especially maybe after like stitch 30. So I'm gonna do like increments of 50 and then place the stitch markers. And then if I have 204, honestly, I do not care what this last row looks like. Yes, it is a little bit wonky. I feel like considering the circumstances, it's really not that bad, right? Let's count, and fingers crossed that we end up with 204 at the end. Fingers crossed. So friend, it's the next day. I had every intention on counting my 200 plus stitches last night, but I was so tired and honestly just not in the mood. Wasn't in the mood, so we're going to count and just make sure that everything is back on track so we can finally move on to the next step. We are going to be changing the needle size soon, so I'm excited about that. I'm starting to feel like, you know, I'm actually making real progress on it. So I'm thinking like just in increments of 50. Goodness, I'm looking at some of these stitches and I don't know, they're kind of weird and they're kind of wonky, but friend, I feel like if I go back and I like try to fix them, I low-key might make it worse. So I've kind of just accepted that it is what it is, at least with this small yarn and these small needles. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like maybe the mistakes aren't as noticeable as, you know, I'm kind of making them out to be. So let's count 204 stitches so we can finally move on, because I've been working on this ribbing for, I swear, like a year at this point, and I'm so over it. I really just want to move on and start feeling like, you know, I can see more progress. I'm making more progress. So 204 stitches. We got our stitch markers. Let's go. I'm preparing to count my stitches and there's literally a knot in the yarn. I'm about to lose my mind. I feel like if I pull it too hard, like, this yarn is already so skinny. I don't want to, like, what's the word, like, snap the yarn. Like, I don't want to break the yarn, but, okay. Let's count these stitches and try to figure out whatever is going on right here. Okay, friend, I have good news. I've counted all of the stitches, I put the stitch markers, and we are back on track. You know what? It's time to move on to the next step of the pattern. If I'm not mistaken, I think the next step is like to knit all of the stitches in the round, but let me double check. Okay, yes, I was right. So we're going to knit all of the stitches in the round. I'm gonna take the stitch markers off, you know, when I go in the round. And maybe I'll leave the 100 marker. That'll be the only one that I'm gonna leave on the needles. I'm gonna leave the 100 marker, but I'm gonna take the other 3 off. And so we're going to change our needle size, and then we're gonna knit in the round, and then we're going to do the increases. Okay, I'm looking at the pattern and we're going to literally increase like more than 50 times. So, I don't know. I'm like getting a little bit nervous. I'm supposed to be switching to a bigger needle size, but these needles that I have are actually smaller. I think the needles that the project are on are actually the needles I was supposed to switch to. These are my Addie needles. You know, I have big beef with Addie because the size is never on the needles. Like, they're written on this little blue part, but after you use the needle so many times, it rubs off. But these needles are very visibly smaller than the ones that are on the project. So I'm going to take a chance and just say that I've already switched the needles. I guess we're just gonna knit in the round and then we're gonna start increasing, and we are going to have our fingers crossed and hope that, you know, everything ends up working out. But honestly, I'm just really excited that my stitch count is back on track because that was stressing me out for a long time. 200 plus stitches of sport weight yarn. That is not the yarn that you want to have 11 dropped stitches, but nearly a week later, Nearly a week later, I've figured it out. And so we're just going to knit in the round, and then we're going to increase like hella stitches. But I'm excited. I'm very excited. I'm very excited. This feels like really big, significant progress. I've been knitting the ribbing section for, I think I said almost a year, but maybe not almost a year, but definitely months. Definitely months, at least since like Thanksgiving, Christmas-ish. So being able to, move on to the next step, I'm really happy about it. How long is it going to take me to knit in the round over 200 stitches? Probably a long time. Probably a long time. And then once I start increasing and there's even more stitches on the needles, it's going to take me even longer, but I'm so excited to finish this project. I've had this in my queue for ages. I've let it sit in my whip pile, like every single time I run into an issue, just because I know I keep saying like, oh, the needles are so small and the yarn is so small, but genuinely, as someone who predominantly knits with worsted yarn and like 5 or 6 millimeter needles, this is so new and so different for me. And I already have like this thing where if I make too many mistakes on my knit, I kind of like want to give up. But I've been too excited about this project to fully give up, and so instead I would just abandon it for months and months and months. But now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, this can't be too hard, right? We're just going to be knitting in the round. We're going to do some increases, and then I think after the increases, we are just going to be knitting in stockinette. So I'm going to turn my show on. We're going to knit in the round. We're going to attempt these crazy increases, and I don't know. I'm excited to finish this project. I really am. I said I wanted to finish it before the weather starts getting warmer. So what month would that be? September, October? Low-key, I don't want to drag it all the way out though till October. That's kind of crazy. I'm trying to think like what else do I have on the needles? I have my halter top. I call that my lunch break project. I really only work on that when I go to lunch. And then I have my loopy stripe cardigan, which is definitely a home project. I will not take that project outside of the house just because, there's so many different balls of yarn. So this is kind of like my portable and my travel project for now. And so, you know what? Maybe I will finish it before October. That is the plan. That is the goal. Right now, we're just going to knit in the round. Goodness, this is going to take me forever. Friend, I don't know if I'm going to make it to the increases tonight just because, it is getting a little bit later. I'm going to knit this in the round and then I have some other things to do. So maybe we're going to end this video right here. I do pop in and out of Instagram when I am in the mood. And so I will be posting some progress about the Mew top on Insta if you want to see, updates on there. Other than that, I hope this video is like cohesive and it's not too short. I don't know. I have a lot of things going on right now and this top was kind of stressing me out a little bit, so I was dragging my feet on fixing the mistakes, but it is what it is. I'm here every Sunday. I mentioned I pop in and out of Instagram if you want to say hi there. But otherwise, thank you so much for spending time with me, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye!